Hi, I'm Iris. Welcome to Instrumental Reading, how to use what you have to find more good stuff. We're all very used to reading texts to understand what they say, but a key research strategy is to also read the texts for clues about where to go next with your research. We all do this to varying degrees all the time, but sometimes it pays to slow way down and milk a source for everything it's worth. You can do this with a Google result list, research articles, and even books, though you'll probably want to slow down and choose just one section to do this really intensive reading method with, maybe just a couple paragraphs or a page at a time. In this video, we'll look relatively quickly at a newspaper article and a research article so that you can see the similarities and differences as you're applying this technique. Okay, so here is a newspaper article I found online that's related to my topic, but I also know that I want to be able to find more things for my research, including scholarly articles and maybe even scholarly books. So it's time to start marking this up and taking careful notes about words and names and concepts that I might be able to use to find more good stuff. The first thing to notice is hiding in plain sight, the name of the publication, The Independent. This is a newspaper. Knowing that will help me in several ways, one of which is helping me determine if this is a good source to rely on in my paper or not. The next things to notice are keywords in the title that might help me find more things on this topic. And then the author's name and the date of publication. Maybe this author writes about this kind of topic often. Now I start reading pretty slowly, marking down things like the names of people who might have published other important sources on my topic, the names of locations, fields of study, other context words that might help me search for related articles, words associated with particular concepts that are related to this topic, and very importantly, any references to other publications related to this topic. Newspapers tend to have very brief citations that look just like parts of a sentence. Here it says, in a paper published last year, so then it's up to me to figure out which paper published in 2005 by Dr. Everett they're referring to. This can be tricky. Be sure to contact a librarian if you're having trouble. As you're reading, be sure to take good notes about the names, concepts, vocabulary, and citations you find. I know this feels like a painfully slow process, and I hate slowing down like this too, but trust me, it'll make your later searches far more effective and efficient. If you want to use my template for this, you can make a copy of the document that's at bit.ly/instrumentalreading. Lots about reading a scholarly article will be very similar. You're still looking for names, concepts, and vocabulary. One thing that's different is that you're reading vocabulary here that's more likely to be similar to other scholars' vocabulary, so pay careful attention to the way that they're using language, their letters in a row. It's possible that if you use terms like they're using in your searches, you may be able to find more scholars who are talking in similar ways about similar topics. Another thing that's different about academic writing is that you'll have more complete citations, and these citations can act as portals for you into whole other pieces of the conversation. These citations give you all kinds of clues about what counts as good evidence to the people who are actively talking about this topic, the kinds of sources they rely on, who the big names are, and which specific works from this or related fields could help you understand your topic better. It is definitely worth the investment of time to look at the citations. These are probably the closest thing there is to a workable time saver in the research process because you're capitalizing on an expert's knowledge of the field to gather together a short list of the most important works on the topic. And again, take good notes about vocabulary, names, and things to follow up on. From here, you take your notes and start playing with them in search boxes. I always suggest using an advanced search screen if there is one available because it can help you see what you're doing. Then put one concept per line and put "or" between the words in a concept. What the computer learns from this is all the words that are associated with a concept. "Or," in this context, means that acceptable results will have any or all of these words. So then the computer puts all of the results from the first line into a kind of big bucket of results behind the scenes. And it makes another big bucket of stuff from the second line, and another from the third, and so on. Then It shows you only those results that appear in all three buckets. So, here I've taught the computer three concepts: what I mean by kind of speech, what I mean by prophecy, and that I'm interested in this happening in America. Then the computer shows me results that have at least something from each line. And as you learn which vocabulary is more or less useful, you can change your searches. There's no perfect search. You'll want to get used to playing around with these all the time. And as always, I'm happy to talk to you about this as you're doing your research here at Carleton. Contact me or set up a meeting.